Hello everyone, my name is Tom Seaman. My video today is called Coping Strategies for Living with Dystonia, Pain, and Chronic Illness. Here is a quick video overview. I'm going to give a brief description of dystonia, a brief overview of my 20+ year journey living with dystonia and pain. I developed dystonia back in 2001 and it completely changed my life in ways I never could have ever imagined. I'm going to first talk about my ineffective coping skills early on, and then I'm going to talk about how I found and applied effective coping strategies that have changed my life for the better, and I'm hoping that some of these ideas will help you as well. So first off, what is dystonia? It's a neurological movement disorder that causes muscles to contract involuntarily. What this does is it can cause repetitive or intermittent twisting, turning, pulling, twitching, and curling of muscle movements. So imagine somebody had control of a certain part of your body and was moving it in ways you didn't want them to. Now it can also include a tremor, and for some people they only have a dystonic tremor. Also, the condition can affect one or more than one part of the body. It's a highly variable condition in terms of where and how it manifests in an individual, so no two cases are exactly the same. If you want to learn more about what dystonia is and what it feels like, so I'm not going to talk about that in this video, you can go to my other video, which is a 4-minute video on YouTube that is called What is Dystonia and What Does It Feel Like? You can also go to my website, which is tomseaman.com, and click on the blog, and you can go in the search bar and type in the title, or actually on the right-hand side, it's the first blog that is on the list. You can just click on there and you can read through it to learn more about it. Now, as I mentioned, I've had dystonia since 2001, and I'm going to show you how it physically manifested in my life. As you can see here, I have cervical dystonia, and that means it affects my neck. So you can see my neck on the left-hand side, how it is turned towards my right shoulder. And my head was locked in this position with the severe muscle contractions in my neck and my shoulders and my back. And then whether I was resting or moving or doing anything, I was having additional pulling on top of it being kind of stuck in this position. So I could never get my head straight. And you can see on the picture on the right how all of this contraction was causing my entire upper torso to also curve. Now, if you want to learn about treatments and therapies and also the things that have helped me the most to improve from the severity of those symptoms, I have another video on YouTube that is called Dystonia Treatments and Therapies, so you can check that out if you'd like. Now, the impact that dystonia had on my life was vast. I was going to graduate school. When I went to undergrad, I graduated, went into business for about 7 years and wanted to go back to school to get my master's degree in counseling. And I was not able to, after the first semester, I was not able to continue because the symptoms became so severe. So I had to drop out, I had to stop working. I literally was in so much pain and had severe contractions that I rolled around on my floor all day just trying to find some level of comfort, which was near impossible back then. I lost all my money and savings, and I lost some of my friends and my family as well. People didn't really know how to be a part of my life anymore, and I wasn't able to do a whole lot, so it was very difficult to maintain certain relationships. So I ended up having to move in with my parents because I couldn't do anything at all without help. I developed severe anxiety and depression, and I gained 150 pounds from a sedentary, self-destructive lifestyle. So how did I first cope with all of this pain and anxiety and depression and everything from dystonia? I grieved, I cried, I yelled, which is not uncommon for a lot of us, and I think a pretty natural, normal response. I also then retreated from the world. I wanted nothing to do with anything or anyone. I was embarrassed to be around anyone because of my very obvious symptoms and the pain I was in, and of course the weight that I had gained as well. I drank alcohol to medicate the mental and physical pain, and I also had a horrible diet, and I gained 150 pounds. So here are some photographs that show the weight gain that I had. I was a former high-level athlete in many sports, and I went from 190 pounds to 340 pounds. Now I've lost all that weight, but this is a physical representation of the suffering on the inside that I was experiencing. Now over the years I learned a variety of things to help improve my symptoms. And regarding the weight loss, you can see here, this is a picture of my nephew when he was, I think he was about 6 in the picture on the left, and he's 17 in the picture on the right. Now I lost all the weight within 1 year, but I'm showing this picture so you can see after applying a lot of techniques I'm going to share in this video, I was able to improve my posture and lose all that weight. You can see also a pictorial kind of history and story of my dystonia symptoms, and at the very bottom right you can see how much they've improved. And even though it looks like there's nothing wrong, I still have muscle spasms, contractions, pain, balance issues, dizziness, fatigue. I don't have a tremor, but if I'm active for too long, I'll have some shaking a little bit just from the muscles fatiguing very quickly, because the muscles are internally fighting against themselves all the time. I have scoliosis, disc herniations, all sorts of different things going on. So I still have quite a few things that I contend with, but the changes have been pretty dramatic, and I've improved quite a bit. So I'm happy with where I am right now, but hope to continue to keep getting better. Again, I want to refer you to this video, which goes over treatments and therapies for dystonia. And in this video, I talk about the many things that have helped me. So if you want to check that out, please go to YouTube and just pop in the name of this video, or go to my YouTube channel and you'll find the list amongst all my other videos. I've also written a book called Diagnosis Dystonia and Navigating the Journey. Real quick, those topics in the book, they include the various forms of dystonia and coping strategies for pretty much everything we deal with, from physical and emotional pain, anger, fear, depression, anxiety, stress, grief, relationships, shame that we might feel. I've been through all of it. It's still a daily challenge, but I give a lot of different strategies for how to deal with those different things. Healthy lifestyle strategies, pain management, and tips for dealing with the diagnosis and life changes, because for a lot of us, life changes very dramatically. So I give some ideas for how to cope with all that. I also talk about effective doctor visits, because those are of course very important. Go into great depth about treatments, therapies, and medications, the work environment and disability process, because a lot of people need to stop working and get on disability, and that's a tricky thing to do, so I provide a lot of information about that as well. And also tips and tricks for doing daily activities with more ease, because when we are dealing with involuntary movements and pain, it's difficult to do things that once were very easy. So I give different ideas for how to do those with more ease. And I share a lot of patient testimonials to give more than just my perspective on the various conditions, the dystonia itself, and various conditions that develop in addition to that, a lot of the emotional things we deal with. So for me, the key coping principles I had to learn first was to live for today, one day at a time, not in the past or the future. I was stuck in the past, and I was grieving my old self, and I knew eventually I had to somehow embrace who I was now and make the best of my life. I had to learn to treat problems as challenges to overcome, and take pride in my achievements in overcoming challenges, and even the smallest things that once came so easily. And I had to reject the why me, poor me questioning to get me out of living in a victim mentality. So for me, a lot of coping mechanisms I use are implementing daily living strategies. So being organized, setting realistic goals, and prioritizing activities. This helps keeps me focused on the present and goal-oriented. I also have to decide what's really important and what I can let slide. And I don't try and do too much, and don't feel guilty for things that I don't complete. And I've learned to really slow down. I also allow flexibility and extra time in my plans, because sometimes I need to rest before something and rest afterwards, because some certain activities and events can really tax the body. And I really try and find things I enjoy and find the time to enjoy them. I actually schedule things every day I think of things every day I want to do, and I try and schedule everything else around them so that I'm enjoying my life as much as I possibly can. And I do my most difficult tasks at the time of the day that I feel the best, and this of course differs for everybody. I also had to recognize that my capacities may vary, so what's possible one day may not be the same as another. And I have to do the very best, we all have to do the very best we can with whatever it is that we are dealt that particular day. So, as I said, everyone has good days and bad days, and we often don't know what that specific reason is, and a lot of us try and rack our brains to figure that out, but I suggest and encourage you to not overthink that too much. Just let it go and live the very best you can on that particular day. I also do small creative projects around the house. I've taken up new hobbies to replace some of the things I can't do anymore, and also because I have new interests. And also helpful is connecting with others who are experiencing similar challenges. It's also important that we learn to listen to our body. So that means practicing self-awareness so we can read our body's messages, because it's always telling us what we need. So do you need to rest, exercise, sleep, maybe ice something, or use heat or massage, or just zone out and watch TV or go for a walk, whatever that might be for you. So listen to your body and what it's telling you. So if you've reached your maximum, perhaps take a break, pull back. If you feel you can push yourself, do more. Another key coping strategy for me is keeping a symptom journal, and this helps us with getting a better idea for the physical symptoms we go through and certain patterns we have, along with emotions and feelings, and also understanding activities that we experience so that we can understand our body and its patterns. Now, this journal also helps better explain their condition that we have to our doctors so they can most appropriately treat us, because we go through so many things that it's very difficult to remember everything during an appointment unless we have them written down. Another key component for coping is to be aware of guilt. So don't allow feelings of guilt to push you into doing something you know that your body will pay for during it or afterwards. And remember that you are the only one with unique knowledge about your condition and how it affects your life. So you need to learn to let go of the opinion of others. A lot of people have a lot of judgments and different thoughts about what it is and how it is we should live our lives, but we are the ones who really know best. So the best understanding that we will ever have is that we will never be fully understood. That's something somebody told me years ago, and I've held on to it since then, and it's served me very, very well. That being said, we have to make the best decisions for ourselves. So be careful about being a people pleaser. Many of us are, and it's important that we pull back from being this way, because it really overextends us. And make wise decisions about your priorities. So on your best days, you may find you can do more things with relative ease, and other days you may do a single thing and it wipes you out for the rest of the day. So be very careful about how you choose the things that you do to make sure that you are getting your day to be as fulfilling as possible. And plan ahead so you can prepare yourself prior to an activity and rest time afterwards if necessary, kind of like I mentioned previously. And take personal time for yourself, whether it is to relax or to have fun. We have to not forget how important it is to enjoy our lives and not allow our health condition to define us. And focus on all you can do versus all the things you can't do or choose not to do because it's too difficult or challenging or painful. And learn how to ask for help without guilt. We all need help, but this is an area where a lot of us struggle. We don't want to ask and bother others, but in many ways it's a gift to ask others for help because people that care about us want to help and it makes them feel good. So it's a gift that we give to others and also to ourselves. Also important is to have positive, rational self-talk. So what that means is we have to acknowledge that life is hard and it's filled with pitfalls. Whether you have dystonia, pain, any other kind of health condition or not, everyone has challenges in their lives. So for me, I said to myself, I am going through one of the darkest storms of my life. I had to recognize and acknowledge that. And it's also about not resisting these bad things that happen to us. Instead, it's how do I work through this? One moment at a time, one day at a time. It's also about not fighting against challenges, so work with it. I like to say, what is this teaching me? This to me is being honest and being rational and dealing with what's in front of us versus running away from it or resisting it. So be honest with yourself and your feelings. It's common for us to experience things like denial, anger, sadness, and loss as we come to terms with our situation. And the most important thing is that we have to accept that these feelings are part of the process and reject any negative thoughts you may have about having them, because you are entitled to feel all of it. And it's very therapeutic and helpful to purge ourselves of the feelings and the emotions that we are experiencing. So for me, that means embrace the suffering. So that means to face it, to embrace it, to erase it. That's a little phrase I came up with as a reminder for myself that I need to not run from or resist or hide from challenging things. I have to face it, to embrace it, to hopefully erase it. Which means developing a healthy relationship with your dystonia and pain. So as crazy as it may sound, learn to become friends with your pain. Don't look at it as an adversary. Look at it as something outside of you. It's a part of you. So we have to learn to accept it like anything about ourselves. Now, regarding relationships and relationships with others, get help from as many people and resources as you possibly can. Educate your family and friends, those that are willing to learn. Educate them about dystonia and the related conditions. And seek out the company of others, but choose wisely so you have good people in your life. And learn how to say no without guilt, because we have to know what our boundaries are and we need to set those boundaries. Now, I've talked a lot about the emotional side of coping, but there's also tools for pain and stress and dystonia that we can also utilize. And for me, that includes everything on this list. So the Theracane I mentioned first, or Shepherd's Crook or Back Buddy, is just a long curved, kind of like a large candy cane that you can use on body parts you can't reach with your hands. So mainly your back, perhaps your shoulders as well. You can use this long hook that digs into and massages the tight muscles and painful muscles. And for me, I carry it with me wherever I go, and it's incredibly helpful. Massage machines, an acupressure mat, heat packs, ice packs, lotions. Nutrition is also important. And also taking time to rest and practice visualization, guided meditation, relaxation breathing, prayer, things that help to calm the mind. And learning how to do nothing without guilt. And I put that in quotes because nothing can oftentimes be everything. So it's a matter of decompressing and just getting away from the noise of the world, so to speak. Now, here are some additional coping tools I'll fly through real quick. Get outdoors and spend time surrounded by nature. It's very grounding for a lot of us. Avoid isolation. When we lose connection with others, that can intensify depression, helplessness, loneliness, fear, and even anger. For me, I avoided people for years, and it was very hard for me to get back involved with the swing of things of the world because I was just so out of it for so long that it was even more difficult. So try and avoid isolation, but again, choose the people you want to be around very wisely. So to that end, get involved with groups that give you a sense of belonging and engage in activities that give you a feeling of accomplishment. You can also connect with support groups in your area or online and share your experience with others and learn from their experiences. Everyone has something to offer, no matter how long you've had this condition, no matter what you're going through. And learn to create new ways of doing things that you enjoy that have become difficult. And be creative and get passionate about it, because passion will fuel the motivation to do those things. And try to not feel guilty for what you can't do, and praise yourself for the things that you do get done. And be careful about comparing yourself to other people. If you're going to do any comparison at all, compare who you are today to your darkest days and how far you have come. And don't give up on your aspirations and goals. Just make them more realistic within the framework of your current situation. And accept, trust, and love yourself no matter what you view is wrong with you. And I say what you view because everyone's perception of what's wrong with us is different. Prayer and meditation are very helpful, simplifying our goals, pampering ourselves. We need to be kind and gentle with ourselves. Eating well, of course, is important, and incorporate stress reduction activities into your daily routine. Now, a lot of these coping strategies are also a form of self-care. And if you want to learn more about self-care, I have another video on YouTube that's called The Importance of Self-Care that goes over a lot of different ideas and the various things I do for self-care. So you can check that out on YouTube as well. Now, it's very important that we understand that it's not what happens to us in life that defines us and how we feel. It's what we do with it that defines us and determines our character and helps us find meaning and purpose in our lives. So focus on today. Don't waste your time worrying about what could have been. The past is over. We need to focus on the present moment to find that meaning and purpose now. So how did I find meaning and purpose living with this life-changing disorder? I had to flip the script. I said to myself, I don't know why this happened or why I'm going through this, but I refuse to go through this for nothing. So I worked my butt off and learned some ways to manage my symptoms. I ended up becoming a personal life coach to help other people who are going through dystonia and other difficult health and other life challenges. I've become an author, a speaker, and I'm a very active patient advocate. I've written articles, over 100 articles all over the world in different magazines, online, and in print. These are just a handful of them here. I'm not putting this up here to say, hey, look at me, I did all this and everything. I'm trying to share this with you to inspire you a little bit, hopefully, and give you hope that you can do something that you're passionate about, no matter how dark your days may seem right now. I've also written 2 books. The first one is called Diagnosis Dystonia, Navigating the Journey, and my newest book is called Beyond Pain and Suffering, Adapting to Adversity and Life Challenges. I go over in those books some of what we discussed in this video today, plus numerous other topics in far more detail. So if you have them, I hope you find them to be helpful, and if you decide to get them, I hope you enjoy them and they are of help to you on your particular journey and whatever struggles or challenges in life you're going through. You can get them on my website, which is tomseaman.com, as well as on Amazon. And I want to share these pictures again in light of what I just shared with you about some of the things that I have done. I want you to remember that this came from a guy who was living with severe symptoms of dystonia, where I was practically living on my floor all day long for years and had severe muscle contractions and pain through the roof to the point of having to medicate with food and alcohol and becoming morbidly obese. So I was in a very, very dark time in my life, and when I finally kind of got my brain working in a different way and put my mindset in a different direction, I was able to get passionate about the things that drive me and interest me, and I was able to come out of a lot of this and be able to do some really exciting, fun things. And I say that because I don't want you to ever give up on your dreams and your aspirations and your goals. And just because you're going through a really dark time right now doesn't mean that you still can't do some really fun and meaningful and exciting things. So with that being said, please don't ever give up and keep going. Thank you so much for listening and watching this. I hope you found it to be helpful. If you have any questions or comments about it, you're more than welcome to contact me anytime at all through my website, which is tomseaman.com, or you can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. You can email me. Anything at all. If you have questions or comments or just things you want to share, I'm available and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And we have to remember that we are here to support each other. So I am more than happy to do whatever I can to help you with whatever kind of tough challenges you may be going through. So please feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you again, and please take good care of yourselves.